Episode 7. Saddam Hussein loved Doritos and other insane dictator obsessions. We all have hobbies. Maybe you collect stamps, or you're really into sourdough. But when you have absolute power and a secret police to back up your whims, hobbies tend to get a little weird. Today, we're looking at the strange, the specific, and the downright baffling obsessions of the world's most notorious strongmen throughout history. Buckle up. This is going to be wild. Number 1. Adolf Hitler. Occultism and cowboy novels. Hitler wasn't just redesigning Berlin with giant ego-stroking monuments. He was deeply into the occult, looking for mystical edges in war. But his real guilty pleasure, 19th century German Wild West novels by Karl May. He reportedly owned the full collection and would quote them to his generals during strategy meetings. Imagine being a Nazi officer trying to plan a panzer division while your boss is talking about Old Shatterhand. Number 2. Benito Mussolini, the Flying Futurist. Mussolini didn't just want to lead Italy. He wanted to be the poster child for mechanical humanity. He was obsessed with aviation and the futurist idea that machines should replace nature. He frequently piloted planes personally to look virile for the cameras, and he even had a museum's worth of German aircraft engines shipped to Sicily just to study them. He claimed credit for making the trains run on time, even though they mostly didn't. He just liked the aesthetic of efficiency. Number 3. Joseph Stalin, the ultimate film critic. Most people have a Netflix queue. Stalin had a private cinema and the power to execute the director. He loved Hollywood westerns, particularly John Ford's The Lost Patrol and anything starring John Wayne. He was so obsessed that he ordered a Soviet remake titled 13. He even personally edited scripts and would watch his favorite propaganda film, Chapayev, over 30 times in total silence. Number 4. Rafael Trujillo, the divine benefactor. Trujillo didn't just want power, he wanted worship. He renamed the capital of the Dominican Republic Ciudad Trujillo and forced schools to have children pray to God, country, and Trujillo. He referred to himself as El Benefactor, the benefactor, and essentially treated the entire country's industry as his personal bank account. Mao Zedong, the calligraphy king. Aside from communism and the whole Great Leap Forward thing, Mao was obsessed with his handwriting. He spent hours with brush and ink, plastering his calligraphy on newspapers, street signs, and even random documents. If it had a surface, Mao was going to write a poem on it. Number 6. Kim Jong-il, Hollywood's biggest and scariest fan. Kim Jong-il had an archive of roughly 30,000 tapes, mostly Hollywood classics. But his obsession went a step further than just collecting. He actually kidnapped a famous South Korean film director and his actress wife, held them for years, and forced them to make films for North Korea, including a socialist version of Godzilla. Talk about creative differences, huh? 7. Saddam Hussein, Romance and Raisin Bran. Saddam was a man of contrasts. On one hand, he wrote romantic, allegorical novels under a pseudonym. On the other, he was a massive fan of American junk food. During his time in hiding and later in custody, it was revealed he had a deep love for Doritos and Raisin Bran, but he absolutely hated Froot Loops. 8. Muammar Gaddafi, the Tent and the Diplomat. Gaddafi was famous for taking a Bedouin tent with him everywhere, even on diplomatic trips to New York or Paris. But his weirdest obsession was his massive crush on former U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. He referred to her as his dear black African princess and even had a custom-made photo album filled with pictures of her. It was reported that she received a shower of gifts worth more than $212,000 when she visited the country. Among them, a lute, a ring, a locket with Gaddafi's photo inside, and a song he specially commissioned for her, titled Black Flower in the White House. 9. Nicolae Ceausescu, the germaphobe emperor. Ceausescu lived in a constant state of the floor is lava, but with poison. He was so paranoid about being poisoned through his clothes that he would only wear suits once before burning them. He also had a security team follow him around with alcohol to disinfect his hands every time he touched something. The Romanian dictator kept a stockpile of suits in a locked warehouse, and he even hired an engineer to scan his clothes for any danger, because one can never be too safe, right? 10. Idi Amin, the King of Scotland? Idi Amin was a huge fan of the British Empire, so much so that he essentially tried to stan his way into the royal family. In 1974, he declared himself the uncrowned King of Scotland and famously sent telegrams to Queen Elizabeth II offering to marry her to lead her out of her loneliness. He even had a collection of Scottish kilts and bagpipers for his official events. His story was told in the 2006 film The Last King of Scotland. 11. Francisco Franco, the Perpetual Hunter. After ruling with an iron fist through some truly despicable ways, as he got older, Franco basically checked out of politics to go fishing and hunting. He was obsessed with it, often spending entire days away from Madrid to kill animals. Rumor has it he once caught a massive tuna that his guards had actually tied to his line underwater just to keep the dictator happy. 12. Pol Pot, back to year zero. Pol Pot's obsession was a radical, terrifying version of simpler times. He wanted to return Cambodia to an agrarian peasant society, starting over at year zero. This obsession was so extreme that he banned money and education and even had people killed just for wearing glasses because glasses were a sign of intellectualism. Cue facepalm emoji. 13. Enver Hoxha, the Bunker King. Hoxha was convinced a foreign invasion was coming at any second. To protect Albania, he built over 173,000 concrete bunkers. That's about one bunker for every 11 people. They, of course, were never used for defense, and today they've been repurposed into everything from warehouses to hipster cafes. If only we had reality TV back then. We missed on a great Preppers episode. 14. Fidel Castro, the Dairy Dictator. Fidel Castro had a legendary obsession with milk and ice cream. He once asked the Canadian ambassador to send him 28 different flavors of Howard Johnson's ice cream. He even tried to breed a super cow, Ubre Blanca, to create a massive Cuban dairy industry. But the tropical climate mostly just resulted in very hot, very unhappy cows. Number 15. Kim Jong-un, the Swiss cheese diet. Like father, like son, but with cheese. Kim Jong-un developed a taste for Swiss cheese while studying in Switzerland and began importing it in bulk. It was reported that his significant weight gain was mostly cheese weight, and when North Korea's borders closed during the pandemic, he reportedly lost weight because he couldn't get his fix. Number 16. Papadoc Duvalier, the Voodoo Spirit. François Duvalier claimed to be the actual voodoo spirit of death, Baron Samedi. He dressed in black suits and top hats to mimic the spirit and used this fear to control Haiti. He even claimed that he personally used voodoo to cause the assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963. Number 17. Saparmurat Niyatsov, the Calendar Narcissist. Niyatsov took ego-tripping to a cosmic level. The former president of Turkmenistan renamed the month of January after himself and April after his mother. He banned dogs and beards from the capital because he didn't like them, and he also built a giant golden statue of himself that rotated so it always faced the sun. To top it off, he wrote a book of the soul called the Rukhnama, made it mandatory reading for all citizens, and even had the Russians launch a copy into space. You can't go more megalomaniac than this. So, next time you feel bad about your weird rock collection, just remember, at least you didn't rename Tuesday after your favorite cat. Hopefully. Thanks for watching. See you all in the next episode.